going back to an issue that created controversy about a month ago, and this was the state of our graveyards in the county. And particularly there was concerns raised about Cllr, and people weren't happy. And there was one particular lady who wrote to me and said, you know, the caretaker there was going to be called away on different duties and all that, and she feared for the graveyard in the future that go to rack and ruin. Cllr Pat Fitzgerald is on to us here from Cllr. Good morning, Pat.
Morning, Declan.
Good morning. Where do we stand at the moment with the maintenance of our graveyards? Remember, you were actually on and there were some people complaining about different things as regards entrances and the maintenance and how they couldn't walk to various parts of Cllr graveyard. But what's the story at the moment?
Well, the situation, I mean, the caretaker issue is a matter between the management of the council and the union. But, I mean, what I'm told is proposed that the caretaker would become part of the general workforce and it would be absorbed into the overall work of the municipal district, and then obviously the graveyard is not going to be neglected. But look, I'm not privy to what's going on there, Declan, because that's a matter, I mean, to be fair to the caretaker in Cllr, he does good books, so I'm not privy to what's going on in the background there, to be honest about it. So there's 3 caretakers across the county. There's none in West Wicklow where we have 21 graveyards, but as I say, I haven't had any inkling from anyone what's happening, and I'm sure the first person to know will be the caretaker, and that's the way it should be.
But what you're saying is that, say, if an illegal dump is found or something in Kilbride or something, this particular person, because of the nature of the job of being absorbed back into the workforce generally with Wicklow County Council, could be just taken away from the graveyard to work on something that could take a long time.
No, Declan, I don't think so. I think what happened is, look, if it does happen, and as I say, I'm not privy to the negotiations, but he would be absorbed in, if it is agreed, into the overall workforce, and it necessarily might be that person that would be going to the graveyard. So I don't think we'll have a major issue, but I mean, as I do say, that the chap that's in, without talking too much about the person, that person does a good job there, and it would be a concern to many people that there would be no one there to look. I mean, there's different things go on in graveyards that shouldn't go on, and look, that's the way it is, Declan. I'm sure that matter will be clarified in the next few weeks, or I hope it's clarified for him and for the people who are expressing their concerns.
Yeah, and a text in straight away. There's always interest in this. Glenealy was cleaned up for the blessing of the graves, but instead of keeping it cut, it's going to rack and ruin again, unfortunately. Is that what happens? I
wouldn't be, as I say, Glenealy graveyard, I wouldn't know. Obviously I'm on the graveyard. There's a subcommittee looking at all graveyards, and I mean, it's proposed there that there's no option for an extension to Glenealy graveyard. But, I mean, there were several graveyards cleaned up there for the blessings of the graves. I don't think it should happen that Glenealy then should be neglected after the blessings of the graves.
Yeah, so where do we go into the future? You're on the graveyard committee. What do you actually do on that committee if you don't have privy information from the council?
We have set up a new committee, and we have to come back to the main council. And part of that, there's 11 different things. There's a definition of locals for graveyards, because that is very contentious. Who can get buried in what graveyard? And that caused, let's say, to put it lightly, a furore at the council meeting when proposals were made. Now we have set up a committee to come back with more proposals. There's a new extensions, lawn, cemetery. We have to look at headstones and surrounds, and then signage policy for graveyards and close cemeteries, and then the responsibility for maintenance of the graveyard is one thing, the municipal district minimum responsibilities for graveyard. So there's 11 different issues there which are being looked at. Now, one of them, the first one I mentioned, is contentious as well, the definition of a local, and we haven't got past that yet, to be quite honest about it. So there's a lot of graveyards are very emotive, and as I know myself, both my parents are buried in Cllr graveyard, and it's very emotive. People look at have views, strong views on the lawn cemetery up there.
And what's the policy in the county, Pat? Is it
well, they're trying to coordinate it.
To have lawn cemeteries right across the county?
No, there's not, Declan, to be going honest about it. But Wicklow County Council is responsible for the operation of, I think, 46 graveyards are owned or operated by the county, and 7 of them are closed. And what has been said at our meetings is that local policy has emerged over time in different graveyards. And the environment directors in the council is looking to apply consistent and managed policies across all graveyards in our counties. But it's very difficult to do that because there are different rules and regulations, and some of the graveyards are maintained by the local people, and it's very difficult to get coordinated. Like, I mean, there's an issue in Bray there as well, with the caretaker issue there. We've 3 caretakers across the county. That's the total number, and they're in Cllr, Wicklow and Bray. I think it is Cllr, Wicklow and Bray, and they cover 1 graveyard each. And in the remaining, then there are no caretakers, and the work is done by, in a lot of cases, by local people or by community groups, so in their own time.
Yeah, but there's no certain policy then about.
There's no certain policy. Look at Declan. As I said, we had our first meeting there. We're planning another meeting on it to try and get. There's 1 member from each municipal district, because there's 21 graveyards in the Bottomglass municipal district, and there's 13 in Arklow. There's just 1 in Bray and 3 in Greystones and 8 in Wicklow. So it's very difficult to coordinate, because I am not totally, while I have documentation telling me the story, I am not totally au fait with what happens in West Wicklow.
Okay, so who do we go to get a definitive way into the future about this?
Well, I mean, we're meeting again shortly, the committee, and we certainly will be. It has to come back to the full meeting of the County Council, Declan, the policy going forward, and to get agreement on that. And that's the way it is. All right,
and you'll address the 11 issues?
Well, we've addressed most of them. One of them we have addressed already is the advanced purchase of graves, where particularly in Arklow, you can purchase a double grave at the time of burial. There used to be people who used to buy graves in advance, and that causes issues because we have only a lifespan of probably 6 years in our graveyard in Arklow, and you cannot obviously let people keep pre-purchase graves, but you can pre-purchase at the time of the burial. So that situation has been sorted out there, so.
All right, well, listen,
I wish I had more information to give you, because I don't, because we haven't had our second meeting, but certainly I've no problem when we put it to the general body of the council, and there are all diverse views there as well from different areas of the county. I've no problem, or someone else can go on and we can see what happens then,
Okay. Cllr Pat Fitzgerald, thanks very much indeed, Pat.
Thanks.
Good morning to you. Thank you. It is the morning show at East Coast. Thanks for your correspondence on this. We get more texts about this than most other subjects about graveyards in the county. But if you have any comments this morning, 087 77 11 103. We're going to move up